That near-death experience was exactly 50 years to the day after the first near-death experience. So if you could reach that state of non-death consciously, then you could have, great jumps in your spiritual evolution.
Reverend Bill McDonald, welcome to part 2. Thank you so much for being here.
We had talked last time about my first near-death experience, and then we talked about the healing, where I learned to do some healing work, and then we kind of ended that with me talking about my rainbow body experience. It was like a death experience, but there wasn't a physical death, but there was more of a spiritual rebirth. Coming back was different. Anyway, so that was at 29. So for those people that watched the first part, that would make sense. If you haven't, well, stay tuned. It'll make sense here eventually. So, first near-death experience, I saw the future 50 years in advance. And I wasn't sure it was 50 years at the time I watched it. There was no calendar or nothing. And I was 58 and a half. I ended up going to India. We were trying to go to India my entire life. I wanted to go to Babaji's cave that I read about in the autobiography. And so that was an experience I wanted. And I kind of knew I was going to get there because I kind of had a glimpse that I was going to India, in that experience I had when I had a near death. I'm going to be in India. So I finally end up 58 and a half years old. I'm traveling around in the Himalayan mountains, and I found where Babaji's cave at, and I was hiking to it, and I had some real bad chest pains, a short of breath. I was having some real problems. I was having a heart attack, and I just left the cave, and I'm walking the trails trying to find my way back, got lost, and I'm standing on a 30-foot cliff in the Himalayan mountains. Shebang! Everything goes dark. I'm having a heart attack. I stop breathing. Boom! I fall off a 30-foot cliff. Now the good news is it's not straight down. It's kind of slanted. Once in a while, there's a little tiny ledge, a couple feet. So you bounce 3 or 4 times on the way down. Not as bad, right? So I end up, boom! I'm laying on my back on a big rock, a boulder, at the bottom of this ravine, and I'm laying there. And I'm having that feeling I had as a child, like I'm separated, like I don't feel any pain. I'm not breathing. I'm not physically alive. Mm-hmm. I'm sensing a lightness, meaning lightweight and light, like light, shining on you. There was a lightness, and I mean both terms on that. Okay. And I find myself looking at my buddy, looking down at my body from the top of that 30-foot cliff, looking down at that body down there at me, and I'm going, hey, I'm and then of course he doesn't hear me, of course, and and I don't have a body, I'm just a consciousness, and I'm looking down there, and I'm feeling loved. I go, okay, I've been here before. All right, we've done this drill before. I feel loved. I have no pain. And if I don't come back to the body, that's okay. I mean, I've just been to Babaji's cave. That's what I've been trying to do for 50 years, to get to Babaji's cave. Here I am. I've seen it. I've done it. I've had this spiritual thing happen. This beautiful, I'm ready to go. And then I look down there and I see going across my feet, my ankles, calf, the shoes. I see a cobra, a large cobra snake. And I say that using the term large because if you have a cobra on your feet out in the wilds, they're all large. I don't care. I mean, it's large. To me, it was large. That's large, right? But it wasn't a fear. There was this sudden love for this snake. I mean, I wanted to grab it. I wanted to hold it. I wanted to hug it. I wanted to touch it. I was overwhelmed with love for that cobra. It's like, what? What? No, really, seriously. It was just I got it. And it was like it was like paramedics, the hospital or something, going with the paddles, right? Clear, jump starting your heart. So it was like, boom, and all of a sudden my body jumps up down below. Because I remember looking at my body or sensing my body below me and thinking, God, it's just, it's all sitting there all, terrible looking. And again thinking, that's not me, I'm this consciousness. Then all of a sudden, love brings me back to the body. Love for the snake. Go figure. So I jump up and the snake is still on my feet, and I'm grabbing it and sliding through my hands. I'm grabbing it like this with my fingers that far apart, and I can't get my hands all the way around the snake's body. So I figure out what the distance is here that's missing and how big that snake was. It's just slithering, right? And I keep grabbing it. This is a real cobra snake, with the fangs and everything, right? The hood. And it's slithering through my feet. And it's going through the grass, and I'm chasing it through the grass. And finally ends up going to this little tiny trickle of a waterfall that was there. And it climbs it behind the waterfall in a little cavern. And it curls up and it just puts its head up and its tongue out and it's just looking at me. And I'm looking at it and I'm about 3 feet away from it. And we just stare at each other. And it was just love. It was just love, right? And anyway, long story short, I finally get down from the mountain. We were lost and everything. I get back. Now, most people, meaning probably women, would go to the doctor. But being a guy, I'm breathing now, I'm walking. Why should I go to a doctor, right? I mean, I just had a heart attack, fell down the canyon, and whatever the cause of heart attack still got to be there, whatever the problem was, right? But no. So I finished off another several weeks in India traveling, and I don't go to the doctor, and we're in the desert. If I go from the Himalayas, I go all the way to the desert, and now in the desert, we come across this canyon. It was like Indiana Jones, where they got these temples up on the sides of these canyons, and it's about 100 feet or 200 feet between the walls, and we keep walking, and then we go up these steps, and then there's this courtyard, made of cobblestone, and there's a woman with a basket of snakes. She got like around 7 cobras, and it's a wicker basket, and she's got a bamboo stick and she's banging the basket, making these snakes angry, and they're coming up and they're all angry, right? I mean, she's trying to get customers come and see her snakes, right? But I get mad at her. I see that and I go running across this plaza, and I just stand right on top of the basket. It's right between my legs. It's right. The basket of snakes right below my crotch, right? It's just right there. And these snakes are coming up between my legs and everything. And I'm waving my arms and I'm yelling and shouting. And if you know anything about handling snakes, it's slow movements, soft talking, because they strike, if it's move, they strike it. They hear an angry voice, it's a threat. I'm doing everything totally that stuff you're not supposed to do, and the snakes are going crazy, right? And I'm telling her how terrible she's treating these snakes and everything. And then one comes up and it slides under my shirt and wraps around. I got a cobra wrapped around, about 3 or 4 wraps around my stomach. And then another one crawls up and it just slithers up my leg and up my arm and wraps around my neck and then comes up like this, with the fangs and everything looking like there. And all the people stand back, right? Everybody gets away, right? My buddy's, he's away and everything. And I got this cobra looking, and I look over, and I feel my eyelash going, shh, 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 shh. It's the tongue from the cobra. Shh, 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 shh. And I looked there, and there's these 2 big fangs coming down right at the top, right? And it's like, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, maybe ½ inch in front of my eyeball. So whether it had, venom or not, it could bite my eye. I mean, that would have been real, right? So there I was, and I once again had to stare down with this cobra. I'm looking at it and I just feeling so much love. And I'm looking at this open mouth, and all I see is this tunnel of darkness. And I just keep staring at this tunnel of darkness. I keep staring at the darkness. And it's like the cobra and I became one. There was no separation. It was like his body, my body, this cave of darkness. It was all one. There was a great love for this animal sitting here going, show my eyelash, right? It's like there's this great love, and we're just focused on that. So, all right, so now let's get the part of the story that connects with my first near-death experience. I said I had this vision of the future, and I saw two numbers, 29 and 59. And I was thinking 29, 59 were probably exit points in my life, my death, possible death or something. So I changed my diet, and I didn't do drugs, didn't do alcohol, led a clean life, meditated. I mean, I took care of myself quite well. And at 29, I had a death-like experience, but not a near-death experience. But it was a rechanneling of my spiritual self. It was like a rebirth. So I thought, well, maybe that had something to do with it. So I finally get home from India after several months, this heart attack, right? And I go in December because all of a sudden I have this big lump on my forehead. And turns out I go in there and they go, oh, I got to operate immediately. There was this cancerous tumor formed right in my spiritual eye. So I go to India seeking enlightenment and trying to find the ultimate guru, come back with all this spiritual cancer in me that they're going to take out. So it's like I'm being cleansed, right? It's like, going to take it out. So I thought it was kind of cool, right? So my wife thought I was nuts. But anyway, so I had 9 stitches and they took this tumor out. I still didn't tell them about my heart. So a couple months later, after collapsing several times at home and I'm having a major heart attack, I finally tell my wife, I said, oh, I'm not feeling too good. I think I'm just going to go down and check out the doctors. So I drive 7 miles in my 5-speed pickup, shifting and everything through traffic. And I get to the hospital and parking lot's full for the emergency. So I park, a half mile away, whatever. Walk back to the hospital, having a full-blown heart attack. And it's just like somebody's got your heart, they're just, with a rusty knife, just gouging it. So I finally get inside the hospital, and since I'm not being brought in by an ambulance and I'm walking, then you got to go to a desk. You don't, you're not serious. You go to. So I'm standing in line with about 18 people. Finally get to the front of the line, 15 minutes, whatever in the line, 20 minutes. I get up there and the first question they ask is, now while you're there, what's wrong with you? How do you feel? First question they ask, do you have health insurance? First question. Anyway, I remember that to this day. I'm going, that's the first thing they asked me, right? So they hand me a clipboard that's got 6 pages on it, fill this stuff out, then get in that line over there, and then we'll see to you, see what you need, right? And I said, okay. So I sit down and fill it out, get the other line, there's about 8 people. I finally get up to see a nurse, and on the second page, not the first page, on the second page, after you've already filled your information out about insurance, where you live, contact, all that stuff. Finally, they got a little box that says, why'd you come here today? Page 2. So on page 2 at the top, this little box, I put down, having a heart attack, currently. And she looks and she laughs like, yeah, okay, fine, sure. Well, so I'll be the judge of that. She says, okay, you think you're having a heart attack? I said, no, not think. I said, I know I'm having a heart attack right now. And I'm just calm like this, not showing the outward signs of nothing, but my body is dying. It's just really bad, right? I have things happen to me. Nobody ever knows. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm having a heart attack. In fact, 12 years ago, I had a heart attack. I was giving a speech. I went on 30 minutes, finished the speech, made people laugh, cry, got applause, picked up my stuff, left, and drove myself to the hospital and had a surgery. But I didn't tell anybody. It was like, what? So there I am. She finally says, Okay, she puts her stethoscope in and she listens to my heart, and then she goes, "Sir, you're having a heart attack." I said, "Yeah, that's why I came in." "No, sir, you're having a heart attack." I go, "Yeah." And then there's lights going on, I don't know, blue lights, whatever lights on, there's code something, I don't know, code blue, code whatever. The next thing you know, they're bringing out a gurney, they're throwing me on a gurney and strap me in and take me into this doctor. He wants to immediately take me to surgery or something, and I go, "What, whoa. I said, "What?" And then, for the only time in my life that I've ever complained, because I never complain about anything that happens to me, but this time I said that to the doctor, I was kind of feeling like, this is crazy. I told the doctor, I said, "Look," I said, I don't eat meat. I don't do salt. I don't do sugar. I don't do alcohol. I don't do marijuana. I don't do caffeine, nicotine, nothing. I said, I exercise. I meditate. Blah, 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 blah. And then he looks at me and he looks at my record and he says, "Mr. McDonald," he said, "had you not done that, looking at your record here, I would have thought that you'd either been dead at 29, or," I says, and then he looks at me and he says, "Oh, you're going to be 59 here next couple of weeks, right?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I would have figured you'd been dead at 29 or 59 based on what I'm looking at." And I'm going, 29, 59, 29, 59, the first revelation there, right?
Right.
So, anyway, so that was the second near-death experience, but it kind of tied it all together. Because I had people tell me things before. "Oh, 29, 59, that's a cycle of Saturn. Saturn goes back into your life at almost 29 years and almost 59 years and, 58 and a half or 28 and a half or 29. Mm-hmm. So I thought, my friends were trying to say, it just didn't feel right to me, but it was interesting that at 29, I had this experience and came back and said, "I'm not me." It's like the old me had died. And at 59, there I am waiting an operation. Long story short, I don't want to spoil the ending, but I survived that surgery. So anyway, I got 5 stents that day.
That's amazing. And today you're 79, correct?
Almost.
Almost, okay.
Next birthday, I'll be 79.
Wow.
So then a lot of neat things happened, and it was that was 20. Actually, here's what's odd. That near-death experience was exactly 50 years to the day after the first near-death experience.
Amazing.
I didn't realize that until I started figuring that out once in a while. I go, wait a minute, that's 58 and a half, and I was 8 and a half when that happened, and it was like the same month. And so I don't have my records from a hospital, but my bet is like 99% sure it's the same day that I had 50 years later.
Right.
Another opportunity to leave. So it's interesting. So that takes us to our next near-death experience, which is going to take a lot to tell. People got to realize that if you want to find God and you're looking for enlightenment or you're looking for spirituality of some kind, dying is not necessarily the greatest way to do that. Everybody dies. And a lot of people have near-death experiences. The real key is to experience this metaphysical leaving of your body through meditation. Like in the Bible it says, "Daily I die," in the New Testament. Well, basically when these old guys were doing meditation, they would go into a breathless state. They wouldn't be breathing, they'd be in samadhi or something. So basically they were dying. So if you could reach that state of non-death consciously, then you could have, great jumps in your spiritual evolution. So there we go.
Yeah. Okay, Reverend Bill, let's head on to part 3 and talk about your third near-death experience.